What is up, Cowboy Nation? Dallas fan 1997 here, guys. Cowboys, our season's pretty much over with. It's like my video last night. Football season is over. For the Dallas Cowboys, at least. Other teams, it's not. But, I've been hard on Dak Prescott on this channel. I've been very critical of Dak Prescott at times for good reason. He's making a lot of money, and he's not lived up to his contract. But while Dak's had a few bad games this year, Dak is not the reason why the Dallas Cowboys are 6-7-1. And I want to say that. And I'm not a Dak Prescott fan. I'm not saying that Dak deserves no blame. Because could he do a little bit more at times? Yes. But, when your offense scores 25 or more to 30 points a game, you should win. And while Dak wasn't great last night or against Detroit, the offense still scored 30 points against Detroit and 26 against Minnesota. And if Brandon Aubrey doesn't miss those field goals, we would have scored almost 30 points again. So, while I do think Dak is not worth his contract, I think he's overrated, all that stuff, Dak is not the reason why the Dallas Cowboys are 6-7-1. The reason why the Cowboys are not in the playoffs, the reason why the Cowboys are 6-7-1, 100%, I would say like 90% goes back to Matt Eberflus and the horrible defense. The Cowboys are one of 3 teams to give up 30 points or more in 7+ games this year. Do you want to know who the other 2 teams are besides the Dallas Cowboys? The Raiders, who are going to be a top 3 pick, and the Cincinnati Bengals, who at worst, who for sure will be in the top 10, if not worse. Because there is a lot of bad teams this year. That's how bad Matt Eberflus' defense is. Now, I get it. The Cowboys do have some holes on the defense. Yes. Could we use better safeties? Absolutely. Could we use some better corners? Absolutely. Linebackers? Sure. But the Dallas Cowboys, if we had a good defensive coordinator, I guarantee you we would not be bottom of the NFL. I think we'd be somewhere between the top 15 to top 20 if we actually had a competent defensive coordinator. And the reason why I say that, when all of your players have regressed, all of them, it's not just like one player, all of them have gotten worse. It tells me there's a coaching problem and there's a schematic problem. And I've been saying this since Game 4. Matt Eberflus needs to be fired. I feel like a lot of the holes the Dallas Cowboys have on defense would be fixed, or would definitely look better if we had a better defensive coordinator. Again, that doesn't mean I don't think we need to address other positions on the defense, because we do. But the biggest problem the Dallas Cowboys have, and the Cowboys, I want to make this clear, are super talented. They have a lot of talent on this team. They really do. Even with the holes we got, Cowboys still have a decent amount of talent. And if we had a good defensive coordinator, or even an average defensive coordinator, the Cowboys would be in the playoff conversation. We would. But because our defense has been so bad, because Matt Eberflus has done a horrible job, here we are. Matt Eberflus, and firing him and the rest of that defensive coaching staff is the first step in the right direction in terms of improving the Dallas Cowboys defense and team overall next year. Matt Eberflus does not deserve to have a job. I don't care if Jerry Jones says, well, we've gone through multiple defense coordinators. We need to keep everybody, I can't do his voice, but keep everybody the same. Like, no, dude. Jerry Jones. Matt Eberflus is the worst defensive coordinator the Dallas Cowboys have ever had. He's worse than Mike Nolan. He's worse than Monty Kiffin. We've given up 40-plus points 3 times. We just made one of the worst quarterbacks in the NFL look like a Pro Bowl level quarterback. Jerry Jones, there's no more excuses for Matt Eberflus, and I am so tired of hearing that you want him in your freaking foxhole. This is freaking ridiculous. I understand the Cowboys have some holes. Every team is going to have holes at some level. Nobody's going to be able to fix every single thing. But when everybody on your defense looks worse, there's a coaching problem. The soft zone, the lack of blitzing, the lack of man coverage. Matt Eberflus does not know how to evaluate his defensive personnel. He does a horrible job making in-game adjustments, and he is a bad defensive coordinator, and he needs to be fired. There's no more excuses. I don't care even if the Cowboys somehow go 9-7-1, which I don't think is going to happen. I don't. Especially if you think we have any chance against the Chargers after losing to Minnesota. Yeah, right. Doesn't deserve to keep his job at all. Matt Eberflus, this is the worst defense I've ever seen in my life. And it's not because of the talent. It goes back to Matt Eberflus and not him not knowing how to use his personnel and him not being able to make in-game adjustments. The first step in the Dallas Cowboys trying to fix their team going into next year is firing Matt Eberflus. He cannot be the DC going into next year. And Jerry Jones, if you're listening, I don't care how much money you make, bro. You made the wrong decision with Matt Eberflus. Let Brian Schottenheimer, even though I think Brian Schottenheimer didn't do a good job yesterday. His use of personnel and stuff was questionable too. But he's the head coach, and you need to let Brian Schottenheimer choose the next defensive coordinator. You had your chance, Jerry Jones. You hired your buddy, and he sucked. He not only sucked, he's the worst defensive coordinator in Cowboys history. There's no argument to be had when you have 7 games where you've given up 30-plus points. It's time for you to lose your job. And you've gotten help. You have the best defensive tackle group in the NFL. And you still suck. That's not the 100% on the players. That's a coaching problem. And that's a schematic problem. And Jerry Jones is 100% to blame because he is the one that hired Matt Eberflus. Schotty didn't choose Matt Eberflus. That was Jerry Jones. 100% him. So he deserves a big bunch of the blame. I'm going to go after him today. And like I said, because he wants too much of that credit. He wants too much of that hand in the cookie jar. And needs to stop. Will it stop? No. Which is why I'm saying last night, the Joneses, the only way it changes, they got to get caught up in some kind of scandal for things to change. But if you want to have any chance of at least making it to the playoffs, being competitive next year, you got to fire Matt Eberflus with Jerry Jones. I know he's your friend. I know he's your buddy, but he's done a horrible job evaluating his personnel. He doesn't make good in-game adjustments, and his defense is very basic, and it sucks. It sucks. His scheme sucks. The first step to the Dallas Cowboys getting better in 2026 is to fire Matt Eberflus. Jerry Jones, you just need to fire him today. I know there's 3 games left. Matt Eberflus does not deserve to coach the last 3 games. To me, he lost his job a long time ago. If I were the GM of the Cowboys, I would have fired him after that Green Bay game. I would have fired him weeks ago and brought in somebody else. Matt Eberflus needs to be fired, and Nick Sorensen needs to be fired as well. I haven't talked about that as much, but I agree. The special teams haven't been good either. So, firing your defensive coordinator and special teams coach are going to be the first step in the right direction. The biggest one is really Matt Eberflus, though. You got to fire Matt Eberflus. I don't care if you say, well, we need to keep continuity. Bro, your defense sucks. The fan base, we're tired of this. We're tired of this BS. This buddy-buddy system. You need to fire Matt Eberflus. You made the wrong decision. Just accept it. Swallow your pride. and move on. If you want to have a chance to sell your tickets and make fans interested, go out there and do something. Fire Matt Eberflus and get a better defensive coordinator. Fire Matt Eberflus and let Schottenheimer, the head coach, choose the DC. Let him choose it. Because he did a terrible job. Let him go choose the DC. That's all I got to say.